A document just published by the Vatican is causing tremors in many Catholic circles. It's not just a technical report. For some, it's a sign that profound changes in the Church are now clearly emerging. And there are those who remember that this very scenario had been anticipated by various prophecies about the birth of a sort of counter-church, an imitation of the true Church destined to confuse many faithful. Are we really close to that moment? Stay with us until the end. In recent days, a piece of news has emerged that, paradoxically, precisely because it hasn't made much noise, deserves to be followed very carefully. It's something much quieter. On March 10th, several international Catholic media outlets, including OSV News and the Catholic Examiner, reported the publication of a new report prepared by one of the study groups associated with the Synod on synodality. A document that at first glance might seem technical, almost administrative. However, some sentences in the text immediately caught the attention of many Catholic observers. The report states that the Church should open new spaces of leadership and governance for women. It immediately adds that it is necessary to expand women's participation in decision-making processes and governance responsibilities. These words in ecclesial language carry a specific weight. This isn't a generic invitation to pastoral collaboration. It's not about parish activities or charitable initiatives. It's about leadership and governance. In other words, it's about guiding ecclesial structures. It's important to clarify one point right away. The document does not propose the priestly ordination of women. This isn't mentioned in the text. However, this isn't the central issue. The crux of the matter is rather the nature of governance in the Church. The report suggests that women can assume roles of responsibility in decision-making processes and in ecclesial governance structures. To understand why these statements have provoked such strong reactions, it is necessary to recall the context of recent years. The structure of the Roman Curia underwent a significant transformation with the promulgation of the Apostolic Constitution, Predicate Evangelium. This document introduced a new principle compared to the curial tradition consolidated over the centuries. Even a layperson can lead a Vatican dicastery if the function does not require the sacramental power of orders. For a long time, the governance of the dicasteries of the Roman Curia was entrusted almost exclusively to cardinals and bishops. This was not simply a historical custom, it was a consequence of a specific theological vision. In the Catholic tradition, ecclesial governance is linked to the ordained ministry. Governing authority arises from the sacrament of holy orders and the mission received within the hierarchical structure of the Church. In recent years, some appointments have highlighted the change introduced by this new approach. Among the most cited figures is Simona Brambilla, appointed prefect of the Dicastery for Institutes of Consecrated Life. She is the first woman in history to lead a dicastery of the Roman Curia, an event many commentators have called historic. Another frequently mentioned figure is that of Raffaella Petrini, head of the governorate of the Vatican City-State. This is a position of great importance in the administrative management of the Papal State, with very broad responsibilities in the organization of the Vatican's civil structures. These appointments have been interpreted by some as a concrete sign of greater recognition of the role of women in the life of the Church. However, in other Catholic circles, a more critical reflection has developed. The issue isn't the personal expertise of those involved, but the ecclesiological principle that seems to emerge. The document published on March 10th appears significant precisely because it does not limit itself to recording individual decisions or appointments. Instead, he speaks of opening up new structural spaces for leadership and governance. In other words, he seems to point to a broader direction, an orientation that concerns the very organization of ecclesial institutions. According to supporters of this perspective, all of this falls within the framework of synodality. The Church, in this view, should develop broader forms of participation by the faithful in ecclesial life. The language used in the documents speaks of shared responsibility, mutual listening, and broadening decision-making processes. However, alongside this interpretation, another, more critical one is developing. In some tradition-bound Catholic circles, concern is being expressed that the Roman Curia may be gradually transforming into an increasingly administrative structure. From this perspective, ecclesial government risks being conceived in a way similar to the management of a large international organization, in which authority derives mainly from the administrative function and not from the priestly ministry. The central point of the discussion, therefore, concerns the relationship between the power of government and the sacrament of orders. In the traditional vision of the Church, these two elements are profoundly connected. The ordained ministry concerns not only the celebration of the sacraments, but also the leadership of the ecclesial community. If the governance of ecclesial structures is progressively separated from the priestly ministry, some theologians believe that this opens up a much broader reflection on the very nature of authority in the Church. In this context, some reflections formulated in the last century by authoritative figures in the Catholic world often come to mind. Among these, a remark attributed to Archbishop Fulton Sheen is frequently cited. In some of his analyses, Sheen spoke of the possibility that a sort of imitation of the Church could emerge in the future, an entity capable of reproducing the external structures of the Catholic Church while progressively modifying its internal meaning. Evocatively, he spoke of a sort of monkey of the Church. According to this interpretation, any profound transformations would not occur through sudden ruptures or explicit declarations, but through gradual changes. Administrative reforms, new interpretations of ecclesiastical roles, changes in the structure of institutions. These steps, taken individually, might seem minor, but in the long run they could produce very significant effects. The Synod document published on March 10th is not a doctrinal text. It does not introduce immediate normative changes. However, its language and perspectives seem to indicate a direction for development. Speaking of leadership and governance in reference to the roles of women in ecclesial structures means directly addressing the issue of the distribution of authority in the Church. For this reason, the debate that has reopened does not only concern the question of the female role. It touches on a much broader question. What should be the nature of government in the Catholic Church? What do you think? If you liked the video, comment Amen. God bless you.